Hello again. Welcome back to another episode of Billy Ho Sports. Now, we got a couple of big time racing action for you this week. The Delmar card, which we've already talked about, that should be coming out. I'd say by tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and wait for the entries to be released for that before I start kicking out content. So it is a special time of the year where we have the fattest of cats and Go Cats, Kentucky. We are going to be in Franklin, Kentucky for the debut of the big Circa Mint Gaming facility at Kentucky Downs. Every year they meet for a couple of weeks and have just the biggest freaking purses you'll ever see, millions of dollars and not even graded stakes races. And this is just a really, really fun event to cover. I don't think we'll do a split the pot specifically for this, but if you win the split the pot bet this week, you have your choice. You can play any race you want to play as far as Kentucky Downs goes or Del Mar, whatever you feel comfortable with. This might be a good opportunity for a big hit because this is turf. I'll discuss the configuration of the track real quick before we get into the race and all that. But like I said, they have a 2-week meet a year, so it's kind of small, but it's really, really exciting at the end of the summer. So just remember, if you want to get into the split the pot contest, you have to be a subscriber. You have to leave a comment and use the hashtag BHS to help promote the channel. Smash that like button while you're at it. And we're going to get into the Nashville Derby, covering a mile and 5/16. Let's look at the past performances. So we are going a mile and 5/16 on the turf, and it is an odd configuration of the track at Kentucky Downs. I'm sure all you have to do is Google it, and you'll find it pretty easily. It's kind of shaped like a little bit like a kidney bean or maybe a phallic type symbol if you were into that nerdy stuff when you were a kid. But if we get into this one, you're going to see a lot of familiar names in the Nashville Derby. So let's get after it. Hill Road leads us off. We've all seen him plenty of times. Did not run in the Kentucky Derby, but or Triple Crown, but won the Peter Pan coming off the layoff, and then looked really promising for the Belmont, and then just never fired. Kind of a slow pace, got sucked in there, chased, but just was no match for that field. Similarly, in the Jim Dandy, didn't have much pace to close into. I mean, Sovereignty's just that good; it doesn't matter the pace for him, but it feels like a little bit more pace. Hill Road would do a lot better closing. But we're going to go back to the turf for this one. Does have a win down here, breaking the maiden first out, going a mile at Leopardstown, and then obviously the next race wasn't all that. But Chad Brown got him and sent him to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, or after the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, somewhere around here is where Chad Brown got him, and then wanted to try to put him on the Derby trail, and it didn't work out for him, but going to go back to the dirt or go back to the turf, which I think could be good for him. I think he's got the closing ability to do it. He's got the ability to stay on late in races, and that could be a benefit at Kentucky Downs. But this one, I can't get away from test score. Just these last two races are just so good. I know he finished third and lost by half a length, but it was World Beater and Jeweiler, and it was a really hotly contested pace. He hit, I think, a little fractious in the gate, maybe burned up a little bit too much energy, but it looked like to me coming down the stretch, Manny Franco maybe thought he had more time, or he really thought he had the race in the bag. And but then he didn't realize how good World Beater was, and he just wasn't able to get him there in time. So I mean, second to Zulu Kingdom in the American turf. Zulu Kingdom's probably the top 3-year-old on the turf coming in here. This one going to be trying a little distance, but I think looking at Lucky and the Kitten's Joy on the dam side, more than enough pedigree to get there. So I like test score right now so far. King of Ashes is the number 3 horse, really close to World Beater in that Audubon Stakes, but World Beater went out to win his next out, which was the Saratoga Derby, and he comes off. So King of Ashes comes off the layoff, lays an egg in this optional claimer, and I'm not really sure what happened, but Brendan Walsh is gonna put the blinkers on, and Brendan Walsh has a pretty good. He had a pretty good record here last year, technically, quote unquote, the leading trainer of the 2-week meet. I think he was listed first on there, so he really knows how to get it done here. 18% first time blinkers, which is promising. Ben Curtis getting them out. I don't mind that at all. He's kind of a low key jockey. not your top of the line guy, but a guy that's definitely serviceable and could potentially ride here pretty good with all his Euro experience. So this one is one I'm going to have filed away under the value department. Then we have Tomasello, could be a value play. Did win this prep go on the dirt, or well, just a preview day. It was like the Ellis Park preview day is what it was for Kentucky Downs, and this was one of the preview races, and he won it. Uh, Definitely a more forwardly placed horse, probably the lone speed, and might just get defaulted to the lead. So I maybe worth looking at for exotics, but I think it's just the poor speed figures and the jumping class. I like the Sire Authentic, because he does like to get out and run front, but it's really tough to look at all these maiden attempts and just couldn't get there. It was very competitive though. So that's one I would have on the outside looking in. Then we start to get into these guys like Burnham Square. I was kind of high on after the Bluegrass Fountain of Youth, so to speak. He won the Holy Bull. He was looking really good on the Derby Trail. And after winning the Bluegrass, he came in and then he just didn't get there in the slop. And I mean, the Kentucky Derby can take advantage of anybody. And then the small field and the slow opening pace in the Matt Win, he got second by a half. He could have beat East Avenue with a better effort there. And then I thought it was a mistake going to the Haskell and not the Jim Dandy because there was just no it's more front running favored in the Haskell at Monmouth than it would be at Saratoga. So that's why I kind of felt weird. But he was run right off the track in the Monmouth, and this just feels like a really, really big roll of the dice. And I feel like I read partially some of these guys are just taking a shot here, I guess, because they're either not going to qualify for the Breeders' Cup or their seasons are winding down, and maybe they throw them out on this Kentucky Downs turf and they pop. So we'll see what Burnham Square does, but I don't like his chances here. Simulate, I would almost like his chances better. Second to Giacoso in the Secretariat, which the Secretariat already said was kind of a sham of a race. Putting a grade 2 1 mile turf at Colonial Downs is the only race that I know of named after the great Secretariat. So that's kind of weird in a way there. This is Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. Giacoso, I wasn't big on that horse. I didn't think he was that good. So that's why I don't think this one has much of a chance to win. And here's Tistastic, a horse I've made fun of ad nauseum. He's just so slow. And what he'll do for you is if there's a pace meltdown, like in the Louisiana Derby, he just when all the horses are just falling out down the stretch, he's the last man standing, so to speak. And that's kind of how he was in the Louisiana Derby. That's kind of how he was in the Juvenile Mile here. You don't see too many of these plus 14, plus 12. They were flying going a mile, 22 and 3, 44 and 3 for the half. So he just basically was hanging out, and after everybody fell off the map, he prevailed. And that's why they say a lot of times he made a bid and he prevailed. And that's kind of like the rest of the horses kind of fell behind him and he held on by a neck. And then the previous one before that was just against weaker company. But I mean, it was still $250,000. So probably a lot better effort there going 6.5. But like I said, it was just 6.5. This is going a mile and 5/16. So his best case scenario would be a fast pace and lots of tired horses coming down the stretch. Similarly for Sandman, but I do like his chances a little better with Jose back on again. Just nothing in the Jim Dandy to run at with the -9, -10. Got there pretty good with the 104 and the Preakness, third by 2 3/4. Obviously, that was journalism and Gosker. And then just a mild improvement, but wins the Arkansas Derby. You can see the blistering pace set him up. Excuse me. So I think that's the only way he can win too. He's already got a fickle personality, and now they're trying this odd configuration at Kentucky Downs. The breeding does say he likes it, and Cassie knows what he's doing. So having Jose back on is definitely a plus. And so if he does get some pace, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibilities that he could surprise here. But Noble Confessor is another one. This is Pletcher and Irad. Just not seeing it here. 14 links in the Pennine Ridge. That was off the turf though, so we can forgive that. So just a couple of pretty good races. Almost got the Pilgrim back here as a juvenile on the yielding turf, which is interesting to me. That was probably has been his best performance. And then he still hadn't broke the maiden, so he still had to go for the 100K maiden at Saratoga last July to get the win. And now he's on the board. 1 win, 7 starts, but he does have 2 seconds and a third. 1 win on turf. It's going to be really tough for me to get there. I do love the fact that Irad's going on him. But I don't think he's going to get it here. Maximum Promise is another one that just, he was he tried it on the turf first and then went to Ellis, got a big win going a mile, 14 length win. And then I think everybody got gaga on him and then brought him back in January. They're like, well, that's all we need to see. Look at that 14 length win. He's ready to rock. So he gets beaten the Lecomte pretty good by disco time and whatnot. Then comes in and tries Turfway and runs a quality third. Was beaten 6 lengths by California Burrito and Baby Max. And then Jack or in the Jeff Ruby behind Final Gambit and Flying Mohawk. So they go to the turf in the grade 1 and he gets blown out again, 10th and no threat at all. So no thanks there on that one. Final Gambit is going to be the one that I'm going to have some trouble figuring out what to do with. He's yet to show any kind of consistency. My honest opinion, they gave up on him after 2 races on the dirt, and one of them was the Kentucky Derby where he was closing and made a very good showing of himself. And then they run him in the Matt Win and gave him no chance at all to do anything in like a 5-horse race or whatever that race was. And of course, we've talked about that plenty. East Avenue getting that opening quarter, you weren't catching him going a mile in the 16th, so he needs to add distance. So he immediately tries him on back-to-back turf races at Saratoga, and he can't muster anything down the stretch regardless. And now he did get to within 2 lengths in the Belmont Derby, behind Tescore, World Beater, and Luther, but he was outkicked by all of those. And so maybe he'll be a little bit better here going the longer distance. It's possible, but even Brad Cox has admitted he thought he needs to see something better on the turf than these last 2, even though he earned 100 speed figures. They were just races he wasn't really competitive in. So I don't really know what to do with him. Florence Giroux, not a big fan. Pratt jumps off, so I'm gonna have to wait and see. I'm probably leaving him off the ticket. Now this one is the one I do like next behind test score. Wimbledon Hawkeye. I went back and watched these races here at Newmarket and Goodwood, and he really fought the good fight here. And you can see who beat him, El Cordobes. El Cordobes came back to win. That Charlie Appleby shipper came back to win the grade 1 sword dancer. And then the next one out, he goes and loses by a nose to Merchant, who's obviously no slouch over there in the Euro turf circuit. So he's ran up against a couple of really good horses in Group 2, Group 3 competition, and his stalking style fits perfectly here. And he's gone a mile and a half 3 straight times, so he knows, he knows how to get this distance running down. He's got a third in a mile and 5/16 at York. So he's a quality horse. And I think with the Torrey on, I'm less bullish, but like I said, maybe the change in venue, a different configuration on the track, getting back on the turf, maybe he'll rekindle some of that magic he had in 2024. So there's a couple more AEs on the end. Iron Hand looks like 0 chance, and Native Runner looks okay. Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez could draw in and might be a shot because he's got some back class going back to the Lexington, even though he didn't run all that great. Then he wins his first turf race, second in American Derby, but then this Ellis Park turf race, he was just off slow and never was in it. So I don't think that I'm going to get there on that one. So that is going to be the first salvo for the week of the Kentucky Downs meet. And I just think test score is too good. I hate to just jump right back on the chalk because I know if I remember last year, I'll have to go back and maybe watch some race replays from last year, see what the payouts were, because anything can kind of happen. It's kind of uphill on the way back. So like, especially in some of these sprint races, like if you see horses that ran good on the Santa Anita downhill turf, then they might not do so well here because you're going uphill on the way home. So a lot of times it is a battle of attrition down the stretch. There's a little rerouting that goes on when you hit the stretch. And so sometimes experience helps. None of these horses have really any experience at Kentucky Downs because they're all 3-year-olds. So like I said, test score too good. I like the shipper number 12, Wimbledon Hawkeye. I do like number 1, Hill Road. I think has the ability to close. King of Ashes is kind of my sleeper. Might surprise at good value. That's the 3-horse. Then the number 8, Sandman, has a shot to get in the money too. Final Gambit, like I said, Cox is still trying to figure out how to get him a win, boost his confidence, all that kind of stuff. And he might actually opt out to go to the Gun Runner, which is one of the few dirt races during the meet. And it's worth $2 million. So maybe Final Gambit, maybe that's the route they need to take, is maybe try him on that dirt. So anyway, we're going to go with 2 test score, kind of the key box horse. I don't know if I'll go for the win bet because I just don't know what the odds are. It might not be good enough for a win bet. But the number 12 Wimbledon Hawkeye would be one that I'd consider at some decent odds. And then obviously Hill Road, King Ashes, and maybe Sandman underneath. I might do a three-tiered type trifecta, maybe put the 2 and the 12 on top, then underneath use 2, 12, 1, 3, and then maybe spread a little bit on that third leg for maybe like a 50-cent trifecta, something of that nature. But Kentucky Downs is a tough nut to crack. I feel like I did okay handicapping it last year, but I didn't play it a ton. I think strategy is maybe to pick your spots here. Like if you're looking at Saturday's races, maybe just find 2 or 3 really ones that you feel really good about and try to maybe unload a little bit more than you would normally bet and try for a bigger price. That might be what I try to do, because we also have the Delmar Racing card for that night. So I definitely don't like to double dip that hard. So be back later on in the week for maybe a little bit more of a betting strategy session after I watch some other videos, get some other takes, maybe get some morning line odds in effect, and see what we're looking at here. And also the Delmar content coming very, very soon. Stay tuned for that. Split the Pot Wednesday, or Thursday. I'm sorry, Split the Pot Thursday. So subscribe, like, comment, hashtag BHS, help the channel. Catch you at the wire next time.